Gee, hello there, and welcome to the Fox Den. Nistu Anagok Bixipidaki. I am Andrea Truejoy Fox, your host for Talks with a Fox. I'm happy you have joined me on this colorful adventure of self-discovery and lifelong learning. Throughout my journey, I have met some amazing human beings who are living inspirational and intentional lives as they fulfill their purpose and share their gifts with the world. I am excited to share these conversations with you, as well as some stories from my life as a Blackfoot woman, Nitsitabyaki, and as a teacher and artist who is navigating through this exciting and beautiful world we live in, challenges and all. So grab a tea or coffee and get ready to feel inspired as you reflect on your own exciting journey and your connection to the world. We are in this together, and there is so much for us to learn and share. Let's do this. Be sure to stop by our Instagram page at Talks with the Fox Podcast and our Facebook page as well at Talks with the Fox Podcast, and of course our Buzzsprout website. And that way you can always keep up with all the updates. It means so much to me that you are on this journey with us. Okay, idamik skanatani. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talks with the Fox podcast. I'm your host, Andrea, and today is a super special day because I get to talk to one of my amazing former colleagues / laugh out loud, disrupting staff meetings and all that good stuff because you know teachers, Mr. Guy Robert Morin, who is just an incredible person. And he's that person that you see and you just want to get a nice hug from, and you know that you're going to walk away with a good story. And second of all, I have his other half, his counterpart, Mr. Stephen Haney. And I'm so honored to speak with these two wonderful, beautiful souls because they have a story to share. And we're going to get into that right away here. So welcome, Guy, and welcome, Stephen.
Oh, thank you, Andrea.
Hi, Andrea. Thank you.
Yes, look at that. By the way, Guy is Cree. I'm Blackfoot, as you know.
I remembered that.
A+ on the Blackfoot. And I should also say Dunze as well.
Nato. Kimaga.
Yes.
Yes, I agree with all of that.
I just want to get into it right away here because I know some of your story, but I want to know more. How did you two meet and who approached who? Now, be honest.
That's a story in itself.
Well, I'll start and then Stephen can edit it, I suppose, or he can stop me and tell me if I'm going into too long of a detail.
Yeah.
So when your Calgary Flames were doing your fabulous run in 2004, I had gone down to Calgary with a friend of mine, and at that time, really before Facebook, there was kind of gay.com, like a chat room. And so I knew lots of other fellow sisters on there, and we were invited to a barbecue. So I go to this barbecue with one of my girlfriends from Edmonton, and we're there, and I'm talking to their other friends that I've met online, and kind of like my new friends, my buddies, and having a good time. And there's a knock at the door, and in walks in this guy, and I'm like, eyes are wide open, right? Like, deer in headlights. I'm kind of like looking at the door because he's really, really good looking. And my best friend, she's like, who's that guy? And I'm like, I don't know, but holy, right? So he comes in and they welcome him and he goes, who's Guy? I'm like, me. And he had this gift for me. It was a joke gift. So one of the friends I knew online was a Calgary Flames fan, and he knew I was an Edmonton Oilers fan, so we kind of went back and forth. Well, Stephen was friends with this guy and gave Stephen this Calgary Flames sticker to kind of insult me. So that's how Stephen and I, first got introduced to each other. So we hit it off. Well, I kind of pursued him.
I wouldn't say that we hit it off. This is where the story gets interesting.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, I had to kind of get him talking to me, so I flirted extensively.
I wouldn't even call that flirting, to be honest. It was more like staring at me from the dining room to the living room while I was trying to eat, and giving me the eye and sort of like little nod to come on over. And I was like, I'm in this room with people that I've never met before. Didn't know any of his friends from Edmonton. Didn't know this guy whose house I was at for a barbecue. Like just aside from online. And so he's like, keeps on being like, hey, come over here. And his friends are telling me, don't go over there. I'm like, why? They're like, don't bother going over there. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. Like, this is really awkward. So
I had a bad boy reputation.
I guess they were trying to warn me about that, but without actually saying he has a bad boy reputation. We continue on to the barbecue for a while, and then finally I decided, okay, I'm going to indulge this crazy guy over there and just go over and talk to him for a minute. As a matter of fact, it didn't really take me that long, I don't think, because he was pretty hot. So anyways, I went over and started talking to him, and that's kind of how we met. We just hung out for the rest of the night.
Yeah, I flirted like crazy. I flirted like you can't believe I flirted. It was fun. When I look back at it, it was a lot of fun. I had so much fun that night with Stephen. We almost forgot everybody else, and we were just talking to one another. And of course, I was flirting to get a kiss and all that. You know, trying to woo him really, really hard. And he's like, "No, I got a boyfriend."
I did kiss him at the end of the night.
Yes, he did.
I'm pretty easy that way. I give away kisses like candy.
So it paid off.
That's only because I asked about 100 times. But he offered to give me a ride back to the hotel. And so, here's this guy, and just met this guy. And I'm like, well, maybe he'll
come back up to the room. That's what you're trying to say.
So he gives me a ride in his car, and we're driving, and he's like puts on his music, and it's April Wine, and I'm like huge classic rock buff. You know that, Andrea. We both share great music taste together, and I love April Wine. I'm like, oh my God, you like April Wine? And he's like, yeah, you do? And I'm like, yeah. And so it was like a kismet moment for me, and I really pick up on those things, when you make those kind of connections. So, there we are blasting April Wine. And then I get a taste of what he's like behind the wheel. And that scared the shit out of me, because he's like driving like 150 on the Deerfoot, and I'm like holding on for dear life. And he's like this speed demon. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die before I even get to the hotel.
You know how the Deerfoot traffic is. You got to go with the flow, right?
Yes, I'm with you on that, Stephen. Yeah. Yes.
So it wasn't quite 150, maybe like 110, maybe 120.
Just so you know, my husband never drives. I never allow him to drive. He never drives when we're together, because I would, God knows if I'd make it there alive. So we pull up to my hotel where I'm staying, and I'm, of course, I'm trying to lure him to come upstairs and talk. And he's like, no, I have a boyfriend. I told you that. And I'm like, well, why are you here with me? You can't. So, anyways, I used a rather nasty word. I called him a blank tease. And but we just had so much banter back and forth, and it was fun. And I just remember laughing a lot with him, and I just adored him. I just thought he was so handsome. He was so funny, and I was really smitten. And so he left and dropped me off, and over the next few weeks, we kind of flirted back and forth online on Facebook, gay.com, and flirted back and forth with one another, and wasn't really going anywhere, because I kept asking him if he was single. Are you single yet? No. Are you single yet? No. Are you single yet? No. Are you single yet? So eventually I just stopped kind of talking to him. So I think that's about six weeks later, Stephen.
Yeah, it was quite some time, because in between the time you stopped talking to me and the time that we started talking again is when I became single. So it had to have been about at least a month or so between that period.
Did that have anything to do with the very handsome prospect guy? You're suddenly becoming single?
Well, no, like I had moved from Jasper, Calgary, to go to school and stuff like that. And the person that I was with was still up in Jasper. And like we got along and everything, but it just I wasn't feeling the same feelings. Like I wasn't really in love with him. So I finally just had to like end it. And then, I mean, of course, meeting Guy was kind of like, oh, who's this guy? Like, I really would rather, play the field a bit as opposed to being tied down in this relationship that I wasn't sure I really wanted to have anymore. You could say it kind of played a bit of a part. So then once we finally started talking again, I think I probably came out and said, I'm single now.
All the single ladies.
Yeah, right.
Put your hands up.
Yeah, and by that point, I was kind of trying to play aloof to it. I wasn't trying to make a big deal out of it. And
Gosh.
we had made plans to go back to Calgary on Canada Day weekend. And he saw the back and forth that was going on with other friends about meeting up at Boys Town, all that. And so he said, "Oh, well, maybe when are you getting here?" And I said, "Well, Friday night." And he's like, "Well, maybe I'll see you there." And I'm like, again? So I just kind of responded back like, "Okay, yeah, sure, whatever." Meanwhile, I mean, I really want to see him, of course, right? So
yeah, you're playing it cool.
Yeah, so I show up, and all of a sudden, and all the friends that I know there are there, and we're all kind of having a good time. And then he walks over, and he's like, "Oh, I made it," and I'm like, "Oh, good to see you." So I played aloof, and I just kind of happened to ask him if he wanted a drink, and so I bought him a drink, and we spent 72 hours hooked to each other for the rest of the weekend.
Were you trying to say hooking up over the weekend?
Well, attached at the hip is what I wanted to say.
Oh, okay.
No, well, that's true.
Well, I'll give you some backstory to this whole Boys Town thing too. So,
okay, go ahead.
No, just wait. So, like the night before he was coming down, I decided that I needed to get some new clothes. So I went to the TD Square Mall in downtown Calgary because it's close to where I was working at the time. And I basically walked into like Club Monaco and bought like, I don't know how many hundreds of dollars worth of new clothes because I had to make sure I looked good. So anyways, that's fine. I ended up going to the bar to Boys Town that following night to meet up with Guy. I was all excited and nervous and like butterflies in my belly and everything, right? So I get there, and that's when we start talking or whatever, and he asked me if I want a drink, and I said, sure, I'd love one. I said, I'll get a vodka 7. He said, okay. So anyways, he goes off to get the drink, and I'm like following him where it's going. He goes over to the pool table to talk to this other dude, and so I decided that, no. You know what? I'm getting this guy, whoever he's talking to is not. So I walked over and just stood right in front of him and said, actually, I want a vodka 7, but you got to make sure it's a tall glass.
Yeah, that's right.
So that kind of started that whole situation. And then, like I said, like we spent the night at the bar, then we went back to my place, and then he went back to his hotel, and then I went over to his hotel later on that day, and we just spent the whole rest of the weekend together.
Yeah.
Hanging out.
Yeah. And then it was a friend of mine. A friend of mine said that the day we were packing up to go, he said, you should really go say goodbye to Stephen in person at work. And I said, you think so? I mean, wouldn't that be kind of a little weird, like stalkerish? He's like, no, it'll be a really great gesture. So I get get all kind of nervous and all that. But we check out of the hotel. We drive over to Stephen's hotel that he's working at. And I go in. He's busy behind the desk, and he sees me, smiles, and then he comes over, and I just wanted to say, you know, I had a great weekend, and you know, hopefully we can see each other again. And you know, I was nervous, and but I really meant it. And then he started crying, and I just made my heart just kind of explode, and I just knew at that moment that he was my guy, and just the way he responded really moved me, and we've been together since July 2nd, 2004, and you know, we're coming on 17 years now. We got married in 2008, so 4 years after we got together, we got married, and it's been, you know, 13 years married and 4 years together, so 17 years altogether. But yeah, if you could see the moment, it was just really sweet, and I love my husband very, very much. So that's how we became officially a couple.
I love it.
That's the long story of how we got together.
Oh. I'm feeling there's some other details that we're missing here, but
there's probably a few details that you don't need to hear. Maybe in private on the podcast.
Yeah. Don't edit it to television.
Oh my gosh. I just love that. And you told the story so beautifully. You took me along with you. You know, I went to the barbecue. I went to the hotel. Well, you guys left me outside the room, but oh, that's beautiful. I love it. And that's the thing. Something I'm learning is that when love happens, it happens in a most unexpected way. Not to sound cliche, but just hearing your story and the other couple I talked to, it's so incredible. And I feel so inspired just hearing you two talk about it. And I remember meeting you, Stephen, at the school when you came to visit Guy. And I can see why Guy fell for you. You're a sweetheart. You both are.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I want to know, who proposed to who?
Oh,
how did that happen?
That's a horrible story. Oh, God.
That is the worst.
I'm gonna let him tell it because this is not my shining moment. So
oh my God, so far from a shining moment. It was like the worst.
It's so unromantic. So I'll let you tell you.
Now we have to hear it.
Oh my God, it's honestly, seriously, you're gonna be like, what? So anyways, we had talked about it before, right? Like, you know, maybe we should get married, blah, blah, blah. So the backstory to that is that Guy had previously been married many, many years ago. Guy's been a little gun shy about the whole marriage thing for a while. And I've been like, you know, maybe we should do it. And he's like, no, not right now. Like, just whatever. It's not something I'm looking at the moment. So time goes on. We're like living together and, you know, sharing our lives together and basically common law because we'd been together for 4 years. So technically we were common law. And then one day we were doing laundry and washing our bedding and everything and making the bed after everything was dry. And so I don't know, whatever we're doing, putting the fitted sheet on or putting the duvet in the duvet cover, whatever it was. The guy looks over at me and he's like, so do you want to get married? And I'm like, sure, why not? He's like, okay, let's do it then. That is literally the proposal I got. Like, is that not the most unromantic way to propose?
But we had an amazing wedding, though. We had a fantastic wedding. We had a great honeymoon. We made up for it, definitely. But yeah, no, I was gun shy. I'd been married before, and it wasn't a great experience. It was, you know, I won't go into detail, but I was just hurt by the whole process of being married, and I didn't want Stephen just to be another one that I'm married to, and then what if it doesn't work and all that, right? And then, we got to 4 years and we were doing it, and, we got to the 4-year mark, and I think I had said something before, well, let's see if we make it to 5 years or something, or 7 years or whatever.
Yeah, no, you actually said, you did say that. You said, something like 4 years is kind of like my benchmark or whatever, right? It's sort of like that's where you would end things. So if you make it past the 4-year mark, so we get to the 4-year mark, and that's when he's like, okay, we've hit the 4 years, and I'm still happy, so why don't we get married?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't do the 1 year, but we definitely made up for it. I got to really put a lot of thanks to my mother, because my mother paid for our wedding, and she took Stephen in as her son. She considered Stephen her son, and my mother is a huge gay advocate, and nothing made me prouder than to have my mother there, and my mother welcomed Stephen in, and my family. Like, we had so many of my family at the wedding, and then we were blessed to have also Stephen's relatives there, and we had well over 100 people, I think, at our wedding and at our reception. We had a reception at a Greek restaurant, which was just it's called Katuki's in the West End, and it was just it was a great time. And those friends and family sent us on our honeymoon to New York. And that was even more special, because Steve and I had, the honeymoon stories we could tell you.
That's a different story.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's where the Appletinis come in, Andrea.
Yeah. Okay, in the Big Apple, that only makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we can tell parts of the honeymoon story.
Yeah, you kind of have to go through with that.
Well, okay. So, you want that story?
Well, just wait. Let her ask questions or something.
Okay, go ahead, Andrea.
Yes, we're definitely hearing the Appletini story, so hold on to that thought. I just wanted to go back to the engagement.
Okay.
That again, I just have to say, yes, obviously I'm team Guy and Stephen, so just putting it out there. That the way it happened, again, in a moment that we may consider just doing our everyday stuff, laundry and making the bed. But, sometimes it's in those moments you realize the things that are most important to you, or the person and why you love them so much. And I think that's actually really romantic.
You know what? We didn't go into detail, Andrea, about the whole planning. The planning was really beautiful. Hey, Stephen?
Yeah.
Finding, going to get the cards done and the invitations done, walking into this stationery store, and I said, yeah, I'd like this for our wedding, and they were like eyes wide open, because I think we were the first gay couple to go in there.
Okay.
And then finding our church where we could get married, and at that time it was legal, just passed, right? And
yes.
We had the most amazing minister. Oh, she was wonderful. She was just the kindest woman you could ever meet. We just loved her, and we were fortunate enough to have her marry us. And she walked us through the whole ceremony and what we wanted, and going to get our tuxes and everything. Was our photographers, eh, Stephen?
Yeah, it was really great, and we had the best wedding music too.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. And I love April wine, by the way. I'm on fire for you. So
our wedding song is
Ryan Dan was our actual
Ryan Dan, the face. The girl doesn't wear makeup.
We had Halo by Beyonce and Whitney
Houston. My love is your love.
Yeah, however she says it. But
I was going for a big kind of ending with a big kind of fancy disco dance song and love and blah, blah, blah.
Of course.
I wasn't, didn't we have Alicia Keys too?
Yes, that's it.
I think it's called No One.
Oh, yes. No One. Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God, can't even remember our song.
Well, it's been forever. How am I supposed to remember that? But seriously.
Yeah, no, Alicia Keys, duh.
So we entered on that one, and we ended on Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
And we kind of skip danced out of the out of the church, into the hallway, right? It was so funny.
Yeah.
It was really great. It was awesome. It was such a great wedding, and the reception afterwards at Katuki was awesome. The staff there were amazing. We kind of got to know the owner and / chef Theo. He had the nicest teeth in the world. He was white. He was pretty handsome.
Yeah. I used to always, every time we go there, I'd always say, "Oh my God, he's got a nice set of teeth." Yeah. And Steven would start laughing like he's not a horse.
Hey, I'm a teeth person too, so.
Oh, it's important, right? Do you want to see some mangled mouth, or would you like to see some nice teeth?
Exactly.
But we had this really, this photographer that we had, she was just coming out of, I think, college, and it was kind of her just startup business. And she did just a phenomenal job. She had some great pictures of us, and our wedding pictures I love. She did such a great job on them. And I'm really particular with pictures because, I'm the kind of person that I get, one good picture out of 50. Steven, Steven's photogenic. Everybody goes gaga when he takes pictures of, "Oh my God, your husband's so handsome. Oh my God, blah, 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 blah." So I have to hear it every time in a picture of Steven. And Steven never takes a bad picture. So for me, I gotta you gotta do several pictures before I'm happy.
It's true. Well, it's true. The guy has to take pictures multiple times before he's happy. I'm not saying I'm so photogenic, which I am, but.
I love it.
I'm joking. It's funny because I've only.
No, he's not cocky. He's just, seriously, Steven takes good pictures. That's just him. My husband's handsome. I know that. I always bug him about it, right? I tell him now that we're getting older. I said, if anybody asks, I say, tell them I'm the pretty one.
Yeah. In all seriousness, if I were taking a picture of myself, taking a selfie, I literally have to take 5 or 6 of them before I find one that I like, because I don't think I look good. But that's just me. So
I think that's what we all do.
Selfies are so hard sometimes, right? You're just oh, I don't look very
yes.
Oh yeah.
Bad lighting.
Don't even get me started on selfies. It would take me 100 pictures to get one picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our latest thing, Andrea, before we were doing the podcast, I thought we were going to be videotaped or video recorded as well. So I was bugging Steven all week. Actually, I've been bugging Steven for the last month to dye his goatee because he's looking like an old man now. And I said, "You got to dye your goatee. You're not going to be on video. It's audio." I'm like, "Oh, well, why did I dye?" So I dyed my goatee the other day, right? So I was thinking that you were going to do this video broadcast too.
No, I have a sexy silver beard. In all seriousness, though, it was really good. We had the most amazing wedding, and it was phenomenal. It was great because it was basically closed the restaurant. They closed half of the restaurant for us, and when the rest of the people for the night, they closed the restaurant and let us just have the place to ourselves. So we partied with our friends, the staff. We were smashing dishes on the floor and plates.
Oh,
yeah.
We were dancing, and they were free pouring ouzo into our mouths as we're dancing, and it was just amazing.
Oh yeah. It was a blast. It was just, it was a fantastic time.
It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well, that I'm not surprised, just knowing the two of you. And is it something you guys would do again, a renewal of the vows, maybe when you hit the 20th mark or the 30th mark,
You're going to ruin it for me, Andrea. Of course, I'd love to do that. I'd do it right this time.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Gotcha.
I don't know. It'd be kind of fun to go to like San Francisco and do it at like Dolores Park.
Oh yeah, San Fran, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
we did New York on our honeymoon. We should do San Fran as our next.
And you should come, Andrea. You and your husband.
Yes. I already invited myself, just so you know.
Yeah, you should. Seriously, it'd be awesome. And if you've never been to San Francisco, you would love it.
Yes. Oh my God, yes. I would love to. Love to. And you guys are coming to our celebration too. So I told my husband they're on the wedding list.
Yeah, definitely. You know it, darling.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to hear this Appletini story.
Oh.
Tell us. Spill the tea.
I'll tell it because I don't think he remembers it. So.
Oh, I remember it.
Well, okay. We'll see how much you remember there, dear.
Okay.
So we had the honeymoon in New York a month later in August, and it was the whole thing was like we got bumped up to first class. Going from Denver to New York. Getting to New York, getting LaGuardia, taking the cab into Manhattan, and getting into our hotel, and it was just, it was like fantastic, and we got to do so many things. We got to go on the Sex and the City tour, which they loved us because we were like the gay couple that knew all the trivia questions.
Yeah.
We got to see, all the sites, and one of the things that I really want to do, just when we got to New York, being a huge advocate of our gay history and knowing our history and having pride in the LGBTQ community and knowing that history, I've always been an advocate, just like you have, Andrea, and as my husband too. I wanted to see Stonewall, right? I just felt this. It was like a pilgrimage that I had to do, just like Muslims go to Mecca, right, to do that pilgrimage. I knew that Stonewall was important because it was a significant, historical place. And so Stephen agreed that we'd go and find it. Well, we tried to find this place after the Sex and the City tour. And, at that point, they weren't telling us, they weren't sharing where Carrie lives, right? In that little kind of her brownstone. They weren't sharing that address because the owners had too many people coming to the door. But the tour guide who just loved us, she gave us the actual address. So we got there.
Of course.
And took our picture, blah, blah, blah. I was all excited. Then we tried to walk to find where Stonewall was. Well, we were lost in the village. And thank God the NYPD, they stopped us and asked us if we needed any help. And they pointed us in the direction. Walked to Stonewall. And it was like, for me, it was a tactile experience. I had to put my hands on the outside wall. And, Stephen took pictures of me, and it was incredible because, it was the site of the gay rights movement. And to me, that was so special. And, Stephen got it. So we decided to go in, right? So it's cool, and it's old, and it's, you kind of, it looks like an old, it's an old bar. So, we go there, and we sit there, and we ask, for cocktails, and I had to think we had cosmopolitans, but Stephen wanted an Appletini. And so we're sitting there meeting new people and meeting the bar staff who just love us, right? Because we're, married couple on our honeymoon, blah, blah, blah. We're from Canada, and they love Canadians. And we're sitting there and having our cocktails and meeting all these people. And my husband just is like drinking these Appletinis like no tomorrow. He just loves them. He's like, I just love these Appletinis.
Yeah, I was patting them back pretty quick.
Yeah. And so... an hour or so passes by, and Stephen's slowly starting to kind of crouch to the side, and I can tell he's feeling it because he gets really loud when he has a couple. So he's laughing, he's being loud, and he's having his Appletinis, he's having fun, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get sick." So he goes to the bathroom.
I didn't even go to the bathroom.
Go
to the bathroom.
Did you go to the bathroom?
No, because from what I remember,
No, you went to the bathroom. You got sick, and then you were fine, and you started all over again.
No, I'm pretty sure I just pushed my bar stool back a bit and put my head down and puked on the floor, and then continued to drink.
No, that was another time, dear.
Oh. All right. I do remember going to the bathroom at one point. I do remember going to the washroom at one point, but I think I just went to go pee.
Yeah. But so he goes and throws up, comes back, he's all ready to go again. So,
I emptied my system, so I was ready to go.
And so he's out, and then so for the rest of the night, he's on a full like volume up, like maximum. He starts arguing with these guys outside on the street, and I'm just laughing. He was just too funny. But my husband is a lot of fun to hang out with.
So dangerous, though. I mean, New York City in the middle of the night, arguing with some stranger.
But we did the tour of New York. It was we went to Ground Zero. It was wonderful. Went to Statue of Liberty. It was one of the best moments of my life, and I always have the best time with Stephen on trips. We have so much fun, We went
to the Guggenheim, saw the Guggenheim.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I got tickets to David Letterman, so we got to go see a taping of David Letterman when he was still taping.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then we managed to get tickets to George Michael because our hotel was directly across the street from Madison Square Garden. So we were like,
no way. I'm so jealous.
That was our highlight. Yeah. And of course that sister was 2 hours late for the concert. She took her time getting on stage. And we're like, oh my God, is he going to cancel? And we were literally waiting in our seats for 2 hours at Madison Square Gardens for the concert to start. But it was well worth it, though. And now that he's passed, which I miss him, George Michael is wonderful, right?
Yes.
And he's such an incredible icon.
Yes.
That I feel privileged, and I'm sure Stephen does too, that we actually got to see him. And he was utterly brilliant. He was so talented.
And we met his dog afterwards.
Yeah, we didn't get to meet a dog.
Oh my gosh. Of course you would.
Yeah.
You know what? Just on that note, yes, I love George Michael. I don't cry over celebrities when they die. Mm-hmm. First of all, I don't know them but when he passed away, I was so sad. I sobbed.
Yeah.
And something that I learned was that he was a huge philanthropist and he didn't publicize it. He didn't want anyone to know the stuff that he was doing to, where all his charitable donations were going to. He made it his business to keep it anonymous. And of course, they talked about it after he passed away. Yeah. And he's somebody I would have loved to have performed. So I get to live my dreams of seeing him through you too.
Oh yeah. We can tell you. We were so loud. We were dancing, and our hands were so swollen by the end of the night from clapping and dancing, and we were, of course, we knew the lyrics, the songs, and So there's some songs where George Michael swears in them, and Steve and I were just belting the swear part out, and the people around us were just kind of like, "Oh my God, what are they saying?" They just loved everybody. It was just incredible. Everywhere we went, they knew we were on our honeymoon, and everybody treated us just like gold. We went to a comedy club. Steve and I went to a comedy club, and the owners and the manager bought us drinks. The comedians interacted with us, and everywhere we went, we were treated with so much love and kindness, and it was so memorable.
That was the club. That was the comedy club we went to in Hell's Kitchen, right?
Yeah, over
by the port, the bus station, whatever the hell it's called, Port Authority.
Port Authority. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, New York was amazing, though. It was just so beautiful, and the people were surprisingly friendly.
But that's the way it should be, and the fact that you two got along so well, because traveling together is a whole other thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, we used to travel a lot. We haven't traveled in a long time, And that's the one thing I miss. And I mean, I'm sure everybody misses that now. I mean, once COVID is complete, right? I mean, I think everybody, if we can get this taken care of, I think everybody's going to be going on traveling like crazy once they get this under control. And that's just something Steve and I always enjoy doing together. We just have so much fun. And people ask us, you know, how do you guys last so long together? And I say, and for me, this is one of the main reasons, or a huge reason why Steve and I are still married, is we laugh. We have the best time together. We could be at home doing nothing, and just Stephen and I just laugh, and we find we'll joke about things that we see or joke with each other. And my husband always makes me laugh. We always have a great banter with one another. Even when he gets mad at me, still we make up. But we laugh a lot, and I have to say that has a lot to do with it, because there's that kind of joy that you have, right? And what brings up your spirit, right? What makes you feel good inside in your heart and your mind is when you have laughter. And so for Stephen and I, we create a lot of that, and we've gone through some hellish waters together, not by our choosing, but we still find humor in some of the dark moments. But I'd have to say that, quite honestly, Andrea, that we're together for a long time because we kept the humor and the love there. And I have to take my hat off to my husband, because when we used to have those real tough moments where I thought that this relationship was going to be over, Stephen would always say to me, I'm like, okay, well, let's just end it. And he's like, no, we're not ending. And he'd literally kind of stomp his foot and kind of, make this last statement. No, we're not separating. That's it. End of discussion. And that usually was it. So I'd shut up.
Stop being dramatic.
Yeah. And it's really surprising when Guy actually shuts up. Because usually he doesn't.
Yeah.
The reason why Guy talks so much, I always say that he tells a story like he's telling an oral history to his people.
It's a fine, I do a great example of the fine tradition of oral storytelling, Andrea.
Well, yeah.
Of course you do.
Of course he does. But I think part of the reason why Guy talks so much is because he likes to hear his own voice.
Oh. I'm just a social butterfly.
Well, not to encourage you, but yeah, you are a social butterfly, and you also have a great voice. So
thank you.
He does.
You know what? I've loved hearing your story, you two, and this conversation. I hear how you two connect so well together. I see that and I feel that in your union. Like you said, Guy, the laughter, it's those very important parts of marriage that keep it going, and the friendship that you two have. I see why you two are such a strong and successful, supportive couple, and I'm so happy for you. And this has been so enlightening to hear. And I know for everyone all over the world, because your story is going to be heard everywhere. We have listeners all over.
Oh, fantastic.
This is inspiration. And I'm so honored that you two allowed me to be part of sharing your story today.
Oh, Andrea, I would be hugging you forever right now. I'm so grateful. I just think the world of you. I'm so happy for you as your friend. I see all the wonderful, wonderful things that are happening to you, and I think it's rightfully deserved. You are truly a special, special woman, and I'm so grateful that you asked Stephen and I to be a part of it. I got a great hubby, and I got a great friend. So thank you for making my day.
Aw. And this is the part where we'd give a very long hug.
That's it. I was gonna play High School Confidential as our intro.
Oh my God. Listeners, that's another story for another time. Trust me. This will not be the last that we hear of Guy.
Yeah, definitely.
And Stephen, I am so thankful that you are in Guy's life, and I'm so grateful that I got to meet you. And I know that we're going to see more of each other as soon as the world becomes another new place. You know, I'm not going to say returns to normal, but it will become a new place. And my husband and I spending time with you too.
Yeah, no, that'd be excellent.
I look forward to that too, Andrea.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having us on, Andrea. This was fun. This was really fun.
Yeah, absolutely.